I don't know how, I would say that there is like, it's not like a million people. It's not like a million people, unfortunately, but because if I had a million people, then we'd all stop doing what we're doing and we'd become television stars here, So that's the unfortunate part, that it's not as big as I was hoping it was going to be. But then what is, you have your expectations, you do the best you can, you see what's going on out there in the world, and you do the best you can, and that's what we're doing. And when I started this, by the way, you people who are just joining us right now on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, welcome to SoundBroker. This is our 92nd meeting. When we first started the show, it was just to get through the tough times of COVID and how to survive. But it's it's expanded a little bit, where we're now talking about how current events affect our lives. And everything you hear today is an opinion, and you're more than welcome to join us just by either sending us a DM from any of the sources that you're watching us, or send an email to me at soundbroker@gmail. And so that's new and exciting. But we're talking about like World Stage. If you guys are not familiar with it, World Stage is one of the big production houses that puts on corporate shows all over the world in the United States. And they filed Chapter 7. Just remember, everything you hear is an opinion. So if I've got some information wrong, do your own research. But letters went out that was it, that they were closing their doors, and there are plenty of people that are now worried whether or not they're going to get paid. And so, Bruce, what have you heard?
Well, I'm booked for the, and David, you probably got the same. If you got booked for Milken, I got booked for Milken, and they sent me the letter yesterday morning. And I read the letter, and it was like, holy shit. And then, of course, Richard Bevins posted on Facebook. And to be honest with you, that's all I know so far. For those who don't know, they used to be video apps. So there's probably, not that long ago, before they combined with Shreve Weisberg, they were video apps. And a lot of people may know them as video apps and not totally realize, if they don't work for them a lot, that, or if they don't work for them at all, but know who they are, because that's the case with a lot of people.
Yeah.
They didn't, they're World Stage now, but.
Yeah, and they basically, they absorbed a bunch of companies. They absorbed a company called High Definition, which were my friends who helped me originally with all my production work when I was doing the charity shows way back in those days, and the hotel shows. And then High Definition, Todd actually was really influential when we put in the video system at the House of Blues installation on Sunset Boulevard, which is no longer there, by the way. That they've closed that venue. But so World Stage was really a power player. And I would think that right now there's going to be, that vacuum is going to cause a lot of people to start scooping up some of those clients that are available.
Yeah, I was really shocked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's one of those things, So anyway, there's not a lot to talk about in that respect right now, because the news is just coming out. But we'll stay on top of that, and we'll talk about that again.
I'm going to change the subject just for a minute because I'm leaving this area. But take a look at the screen on the ship.
Well, let's tell people where you are first of all, so that they understand, those people that are coming in. So David Dansky is taking a couple of days off.
Princess Cruise. This is our last stop.
And he's on a Princess Cruise, and he's in Puerto Vallarta right now on the ship. And the ship is getting ready to pull out of port, where he's going to lose his Wi-Fi signal or his cell service. So, and it's way.
Is it still what they've got here? They got a Meyer speaker system and a giant screen, weatherproof. It's pretty cool. And then down in the showroom, they got an Avid's S6L and a bunch of Meyer gear. So these ships are doing pretty good.
So when I was on the Carnival cruise in January, they had a screen like that, and their main rig was JBL 12s, the V12s, I guess. I can't remember what model they are, but the 12s, not the 8s, the 12s. And then they had a CL5 at front of house in the theater, and all JBL rig down there too. So it was kind of interesting.
I mean, this is a giant screen. This is like 80 feet. I'm sorry. This is about 80 feet by, 30 feet.
Are they showing movies at night for the kids up
Well,
there?
yeah, all music movies, all performances.
Oh, wow, cool.
Never have a regular film. This is Hall & Oates right now. They had the Stones on before that, and the Who, and it's always somebody.
Well, if I remember correctly, and I was only on one cruise, and that was thanks to you, David. I really do appreciate that one with Charo. Basically, the idea is to keep you entertained 24/7. And have you experienced any difference now that because of COVID? Are there any changes to what they had? Because I remember walking through every door, there was already a hand sanitizer station right there. What's the difference now?
Well, things are a little looser than they were for obvious reasons. Everyone was tested with PCR before they got on the ship. And, there's sanitizer everywhere, and people wear masks on the ship. They're required to when they're in public areas.
How full do you think the ship is, attendees?
What's that?
How many people, what do you think the capacity, how many people do you think are on the ship?
One of the 3 dining rooms is closed, and there's probably only about 1,200 people out of maybe 25. So maybe a little more than half full.
Yeah, we had about
because
half.
it doesn't
we
look
had about
like
half too.
anybody's on the. I'm sorry, it doesn't look like there's anybody on the deck with you.
Well, right now there's nobody on the deck, and they're just getting word by order because the ship is.
Okay. Well, I have to be very careful, David, because the music in the background might trigger copyright infringement. So
I'm
we have
moving
to be
away
super,
from the way.
yeah, we have to be super careful of that because they have it buried in the what is it called, DRM, that it's buried in the music. So that's how they find it anyway. So basically, that's about the size of it.
So you're safe.
And so anyway, but I thank you for coming. I really appreciate it and sharing that with everybody. We got a bunch of news that we got to cover now as well. The first thing, but because David is on, David told me about that Tahoe Douglas Visitors Authority is seeking a proposal for audio video equipment, and we'll throw that into the link thanks to David. So if anybody has got a company out there that's looking to bid on a job, that could be something that you would think that might be something up your alley. Then you could you can go and do.
They're opening an entertainment center with thousands of seats and real PA systems and lighting and video and everything. Tahoe's never South nowhere in Tahoe have they had that before, except for the outdoor stuff. So this is a big deal for them, and it's the real contract for whoever happens to get it.
Oh, very, very good. There you go. And so I just thought I would share that with everybody. Along the lines, let's see. One thing else I wanted to say is that Elon Musk might have actually followed through with ending world hunger. He made a huge donation. I don't know if you guys heard about this. As Tesla reveals, he donated billions of shares, 6.6 billion to end world hunger. And that is pretty impressive, if you ask me. Did you hear anything about that, Brian?
Not surprising. I mean, the guy goes to Burning Man.
No, I hadn't heard anything.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's one of the stories. The highlight of the week is that there could be a possibility that hunger will be ended, and that would be a wonderful thing. So good luck, Elon. Speaking of that, also that not trying to end hunger, but one of the console manufacturers, Mach Consoles, does lighting. They raised their prices 20% in January, and they won't be able to deliver till maybe February or March. I mean, not February or March, April or May, if possible, that they could deliver. So we're still having supply chain issues out there. Have you been affected by that, Brian?
No, I haven't, but I haven't been looking either. So I'll be honest with that. So things have been a little bit slow. It's starting to pick up for me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, so we were talking about the Super Bowl last time we met, and basically, Michael came in and said that you couldn't find the Prince video anywhere online about the original Super Bowl, and it is now on YouTube. I guess basically the hip hop went well, but the Prince video, because he did a poll, and it turned out that Prince was the #1 show, and I watched it again, and I can see why. I mean, he did. First of all, his stage was outrageous because it was in the form of his symbol, and it was raining during the whole thing. And of course, he did Purple Rain while it was raining, and his performance was just spectacular, you know. So I would think that if you get a chance, you can watch it on YouTube. And I'm trying to put the links into YouTube before. Oh, I got too many. That's what the problem is. All right, I see what I did wrong. Okay, I can't put the post in because the Elon Musk had too many words in it. So that's why I couldn't put it up on YouTube. And so I'll have to adjust that. So shows that are coming up. Polestar announced that Paul McCartney is returning to the road on Friday, and he's going to kick off a show. Let's see, what does it say here? Paul McCartney announced his return to the road on Friday. Oh, he's not going out on Friday. He announced it on Friday. The legendary rocker will hit the road with the show at Spokane Arena in Washington, and his first show ever in the city, kicking off a 14-day tour that will take him into cities through mid-June. And the interesting thing about that is Kurt, who can't be here, is working today. One of our regulars is not there. So let's see. I thought that was kind of interesting that Paul McCartney is going back out on the road. Anyway, what else is going on? Let's see. Let me give you some other tips on what's happening of shows that are coming up. The Backstreet Boys and BTS are playing in Las Vegas, and they're all sold out the second they went on sale. Kenny Chesney is going out on the road, and our good friend Robert Scoville is mixing it. Imagine Dragons is out on tour. Chris Stapleton is going back out on an arena tour. Train announced that they're going out on a tour. Modest Mouse added dates to their 2022 tour. Dua Lipa, Green Day, Chemical Romance, Halsey, they've been announced as headliners for the Firefly Festival. Now, I thought the Firefly Festival, wasn't that the one where they ripped off everybody? Wasn't that the festival that they held in Jamaica or someplace like that? Or is that a different festival? Oh, well, nobody knows. If you know, put a comment in the chat. Let's see what else is happening. A lot of shows. 3-day a municipality event known as The Thing is returning to Fort Worden in Washington, and they've got a bunch of headlining acts. Sum 41 and Simple Plan have announced that they will be embarking on a tour going through Canada. So it seems that we're coming back to shows. There's going to be a lot of shows. So also, I think that the main thing is, and maybe you guys can talk about this, is that it seems that California and other states are following right now, where they're going to say that there's no longer a pandemic, but it's an epidemic. I think that's what it is, an endemic. Anybody know anything about that?
I heard they loosened up all the restrictions in California, except in the city of LA or LA County or something, but we're still, you know, we're still acting like children.
Yeah. I mean, also like there's stuff going on in Colorado now. They're opening up all the Red Rocks is opening up and announced in Memphis. Beale Street mentioned that they're open. I mean, they're doing a show with Van Morrison, Lil Wayne, Smashing Pumpkins, Sarah McLachlan, Foo Fighters. This is in Memphis. It's a huge festival that's already been announced. So, I mean, the shows are coming back, and people are definitely working. I mean, just to give you an example, in the UK, Boris Johnson announced February 1st that would be the end of all coronavirus restrictions in England. And that went into effect on the 24th, which is tomorrow. So I mean, I guess the question is, what does it mean to treat COVID as an endemic? And after more than 2 million vaccinated and cases going down for now, at least one U.S. state has declared a change in the COVID-19 health crisis. California became the first in the nation to adapt an endemic approach to tackling the virus. So what does that mean? That's the question. What does it mean? And I see that all the borders are opening up now all over the country.
Means you're treating it as a long-term problem, not just a short-term trying to squelch it. So it becomes a long-term fight like we have with AIDS or something else like that.
Well, with AIDS, they found now that they've got a cure. I saw another article about that with AIDS. Let me see if I could find it real quickly. That basically they've just cured a woman of completely. They've gotten rid of her AIDS. Let me see if I can find. A woman is cured of HIV using a novel treatment. She's the third person ever to be cured. Researchers announced that the new approach holds the potential for curing more people of racially diverse backgrounds. And was reported by the New York Times. And the New York Times also reported that, let me see if I can find that now, because I know there was another article. Oh yeah, that vaccines, that they're saying now that if you have your 2 vaccines and your booster, you probably won't need another shot or a jab, as they call it. Have you heard anything about that?
I think everything's just floating around. The time's going to tell on this, just like anything else. As the disease keeps moving and changing. But I read an article this week that we're getting close to 70% herd immunity. And that's, I think, the other key to the reason things are opening up is, that's the stability, but that doesn't mean that another variant can't come through and do something else. So.
Yeah, I agree. It just seems like the world right now is ready to go back to being normal, no matter what people think, the virus, damn the torpedoes, here we go. And, hopefully that things are going to get better because the virus has weakened. But I know here in Thailand, they've just changed the rules, and now you don't need as much insurance to get in here. You basically you don't need to even have proof of injections. All you need to have is proof that you don't have COVID. And they've said instead of a sandbox now, you come here, you take one test. And it's not even a the PCR test, the big test. It's the lesser of the tests, and you're free to go anywhere you want in the country. And so that's a big change. Singapore is open, Australia is open, England is open. So I would see that travel is going to start to take place in a huge way, although China is still closed.
What's Thailand doing? What are you doing there? What's going on there?
Well, what I said is that basically they had a sandbox program. We had to be quarantined for 2 weeks, and then they dropped it down to 7 days. You had to have $100,000 worth of medical insurance. That's all changed now. Now it's $20,000 medical insurance. You don't have to you don't have to be quarantined except for 1 day. And instead of taking the PCR test, all you have to do is take what's the other test? Not the PCR test, but the test that you just do.
There's an antigen test. Yeah, we have a couple.
Yeah, the antigen test. So basically, and yet the counts are rising. The all over, here in New York and the United States, I've read that the virus counts are dropping. But here they're going up, but it's not like in the hundreds of thousands. It's only in the hundreds or the low thousands of the cases. So, but people are being more cautious. Everybody's still wearing a mask everywhere, but that's not that unusual because they used to wear masks all the time because of the pollution,
Well, you talk about getting a little less strict. I'm on a cruise ship and I don't feel in danger at all. So there you go.
Yeah, we were in January and it was not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Actually, it was December. It wasn't January.
Yeah. What I'm finding right now here in Thailand, and I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world or United States, because I have personal experience here, but a lot of the restaurants and a lot of the bars have closed permanently. They just couldn't make it through. And so when tourists come here, there's not a lot for them to do. So it's hurting Thailand's tourism. I don't know what they're going to do about that. But the reality is that I'm starting to see more foreigners here right now, but not in the kind of quantities that I've seen them in the past. And they're desperate. And I don't think the world is going to come back until 2024. I don't think I don't think we're going to see a complete back to normal situation until maybe 2024. Well, that's when I see it. What do you think?
I think sooner.
I think sooner too. I think there's some industries that are going to be hurt a little bit harder. Your tourist restaurants. I was talking to a friend in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and in Waikiki, all the restaurants down there, half of them are shuttered. They just don't have enough tourists to support them at this point in time. So it's an egg and a chicken thing. Which is going to come first? You got to get tourists back before you can open the high-end restaurants and the high-dollar restaurants. But you can't get the tourists back if you don't have the amenities there. So I think it's both.
You got to be vaxxed there to get into anything.
Yeah. State employees are working for the state. You don't have to, but outside of that, yes. But I mean, you mentioned Beale Street Festival, and I just pulled up Memphis in May, and Memphis in May is only running 1 week this year, and that's usually a 3-week festival. But they are coming back with something. So they are going to cook the barbecue one weekend. So be interesting to see how many people show up at the beach. But I mean, you can't get most of your sport venues are full now. I mean, the ticket concerts that are going out on sale around here, they're sold out fairly fast. So I mean, people want to get out and do things, and I think it's going to happen sooner. But it may be us in the live events before the restaurants come back. So,
2 weeks ago, I attended a live concert at the Forum, and it was packed, and people were having a good time.
Well, my understanding, we kept joking about the NASCAR race in Coliseum, but my understanding is they had a sold out crowd in there.
Did they? I haven't seen any video footage of it. I would have loved to have seen it just to see those guys go around the track at like 35 miles an hour.
Well, there was a couple good wrecks.
Was there? Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they only allowed 10 cars on the track at a time too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did
So
you see?
it was all heat racing, so it was like 20-lap race.
Interesting.
Heats.
Did you see Daytona the other day? The last 10 laps were it went on forever. They were crashing into things all over the place. It was very exciting.
Yeah, it's funny when you think that the most exciting part of a race is the crashes. It's just,
you know what, I can't sit through a whole race, but what I'll do is I'll record it, right, and I'll watch the start, and then I speed through and I watch for yellow flags, because it's the startup after the yellow flag that gets crazy, right? And then I'll watch the last 15 laps, because that's when the shit hits the fan. They battle, and it's always exciting.
Do they still have demolition derbies?
I don't know. I used to go when I was a kid. I loved them.
Me too.
Your dirt tracks will still host them.
Wow.
Yeah, the demolition derby. I remember. I haven't been since I was a kid, but I remember it so well, and it was so much fun to watch them destroy the cars. And the last car that could move.
There was one car that was banned from demolition derbies. It's a 1970s model car. But I mean, it's like a steel fortress, and they just flat out banned that you can't drive that car in a demolition derby.
Because it's built too well.
It's built too well, yeah.
Isn't that funny? Did you ever see the motorhome ones?
Little models.
Pardon?
Did you ever see the motorhome demolition ones?
No.
Oh my God! Well, if you, what's that show on the English channel there? The three guys that Top Gear. They do it every once in a while. They have these demolition derbies in their motorhomes. Oh my God, it's so funny. Oh my God.
So I don't know what's going to happen this year with the All-Star race for NASCAR being out of Charlotte, but in that loop somewhere in there, they get celebrities coming out and they race school buses on the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
School
Oh,
buses.
wow.
How funny.
And and there's an audience for that? I guess there's
Yeah.
an audience for everything.
Well, so Jan, it's part of, so historically, the NASCAR All-Star has been the week before the Coca-Cola 600. So they've got this week, 2 weeks of NASCAR fans in town. At that point in time, Speedway became the second largest city in North Carolina. So 1964 Chevrolet. Thank you, Tina. But I mean, there's an audience for it. And I saw somewhere on a YouTube video the other day where they are racing with single axle camper trailers towed behind cars.
Oh, that's funny.
Did you ever see them do the figure eight?
I've never been to a figure eight race.
Oh, that's funny too. Oh my God.
Again, that's a dirt track event, so they can manipulate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well. that is funny. It's really funny to think about that, you know, that they have people like to watch things get destroyed like that. But I guess that's why, you know, we watch all these movies where everything gets destroyed. And
the company I used to work for in college did some of the demolition derbies. You brought out your old gear. You didn't bring out your new gear for that stuff because it's dirty, dusty, mucky, and if it gets destroyed during the demolition derby, oh well.
Yeah, so be it. You know, I mean, it's speaking of being destroyed in cars. There was a cargo ship, and you know, David's on the water. I hate to say that, but like this, that cargo ship carrying the Porsches and the Bentleys is burning. It's like $1 billion worth of cars, Bentleys and Porsches and Volkswagens out there. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but evidently it seems like there was a battery fire in one of the cars, and it just spread throughout the ship.
Some of them are electric. So those are the ones with the lithium batteries on fire.
You know,
And they can't fire.
What a waste. What a waste. I mean, you know, these cars, you know, Bentleys are, you know, $200,000 a pop and up, you know, Porsches, you know, 100 and change and up, you know, it's like, wow, you know, what a waste. It's just to see those kind of cars be destroyed like that, or I guess, you know, not see it, but to hear about it.
Well, I guess if it's lithium batteries, you can't take seawater and spray on them either to try to put the fire out.
Why not?
I don't think there would be a good reaction there. I think you.
Yeah, it's chemicals. They got to use chemical smoke, or what do they call that? The foam. They got to put it out with foam.
Right. They have to starve the oxygen, but you put the water on there with that, and it being salt water, then there's minerals in it, and it's going to react to those batteries even further.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, it's a problem. I think they're working on it right now. I mean, I know they're working on it, but you know, it was off of Portugal. They evacuated the crew with helicopters, so nobody died. But you know, the cars are probably, they don't even know how many cars are destroyed. They don't know anything yet, and I haven't read a follow-up story. It just happened the other day. You know?
Just remember, as soon as they get it put out, there'll be a good fire sale on Bentleys.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, little smoky, you know, the little smoky smell in the car, but other than that, it just drives fine. You know, that's about it. You know, so and also one of the other things, speaking of coastal cruises and all of that, they announced now that by 2050 the coastal sea levels are going to rise by a foot. So that means anybody living on the coast is going to have some water problems, or at least they're going to have, you know, they have to rearrange their property.
Wasn't that supposed to happen a long time ago?
No, I don't know, but you know, right now they're just announcing it right now that it's going to happen before they thought it was going to happen, you know. But you know, what can you know, like right now we're getting so much news. Who do you trust, right? Who do you trust? You don't know who to trust. I mean, I'll give you an example of something. Right now, because of what's going on, people are using counterfeit canines to travel to get, you know, to get their dogs on the plane. I always thought I wanted to do that with my dog. Get something that says, you know, a rescue dog, or But I'm telling you, people are doing it right now. It's a big story. Counterfeit canines and air travelers with fake dogs, with fake service dogs, are trying to get on the planes.
That
And
law is
then-
going to get, that's going to get changed here shortly. The Department of Justice is getting fed up with it. So
Yeah.
Good for them.
And have you guys been to any of the deep fake sites where they have, like where they have pictures of people that are not real? They're just completely computer animated, computer designed people, but they look real. Have you seen any of those? Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
right now they did a survey, Vice News is reporting that people trust the deep fake faces more than they trust the real faces. Over 58% of the people trust the phony faces than they do real faces. And I thought that was pretty amazing, that the deep fakes have gotten to the point where people can trust the deep fake more than a real person. I guess,
remember something. People trust symmetrical faces more than asymmetrical faces. That balance of your eyes being at the same level and your nose in the middle and all of that, people like that. It makes them feel more comfortable. So when you design a face, you're designing a perfect face. So the odds are they're more perfect than we are. That's all.
Yeah. And by the way, the way you can tell a fake, they still haven't perfected it. If you look at the bottom of the head and usually right by the ear, it'll be a little bit out of focus. It'll be tiny, but they haven't figured out how to fix it completely. And when they do, then we're going to be in big trouble, because they also have the ability to do fakes of video where they could actually have people who, actual real people. And I saw this a few years ago with an Obama, whereas they took Obama's words, his actual words, put it into a computer, mixed it up so they got his cadence, they got his words, and then they were able to type whatever they wanted. And through video, it made it look like he was actually saying the words that they had typed in rather than what he was actually saying. And that is going to be, as they work on that kind of technology, I think that's going to really be a problem for more fake news.
I think it's 127 words that they need you to speak in English for them to type and do the automation and words. So so all these electronic voices and computerized voices, it's a set of words that the computer then can take back out and do.
Yeah, but it's a scary thought. I mean, I use voice recognition right now with Google, and I think with Amazon, with my Alexa, so that it only recognizes my voice. And you train it. I think Apple does the same thing with Siri, where you can train your voice, and so that they know it's you. So not everybody, because when you are like listening to a podcast, or you're on TV or whatever, and someone says, "Hey," and the lady's name, then all of a sudden your device would be triggered. But I think they figured that out now, how to make it so that it's voice recognition. I also know that when I call one of my banks, that they use voice recognition to verify who it is on the phone. Have you guys experienced any of that?
They've asked, but I've always opted out. I'm not a big fan of giving up biometrics yet.
Yeah. So anyway, another thing that's fake, and this really hurt me when I found out about this, and that is, everybody knows Heinz ketchup, Heinz 57, Does anybody know what the 57 means? Well, I'll tell you, the company says it's 57 varieties slogan, and it was a key part of their strategy for years, right? Heinz 57. You guys have heard of that, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It turns out it's completely made up. There weren't 57 Heinz varieties when Pittsburgh business manager H.J. Heinz first invented the slogan in 1896, nor when Heinz 57 sauce was introduced soon after. There aren't 57 now, and in fact, there are hundreds of Heinz varieties, but they still misrepresented as 57. Go figure. Who do you trust anymore? Really?
You know, when I was a kid, I used to think 57 meant 57 different things in the ketchup, you know, like V8 juice has like X amount of things in it. You know, that's what I used to think when I was a kid. and then it didn't rate real high in my importance book, so I didn't think about it anymore.
I mean, goes WD-40. Do you know what that stands for?
Water displacement, right?
Water displacement formula number 40.
Formula 40. I knew it was a Formula 40. I didn't know it was water displacement. That's interesting.
Water displacement. This is 40th try.
Oh yeah, that would make sense because that would be causing rust with the water and I guess so. Makes logical sense.
WD-40 was created to protect the pistons on ships.
Wow.
Pistons were getting water and getting in, so it was a water displacement formula to protect the pistons on the ship.
So I got a funny one for you. Jan, did you know Billy Jenkins?
No, who's Billy Jenkins?
He died a few years ago, but he used to build speakers here in LA and custom speakers, and a bunch of people had them, and we built a lot of stuff together for AVHQ. But anyway, so we did a subwoofer, and we were testing it in his shop, and it was a dual 18. It was kind of we did a bi-amp subwoofer, which was so cool, but would have been so expensive. We were just trying things out, right? And so when we tested it, and all the dirt started falling out of the ceiling, and the down cans were dropping out of the, and Billy looks at me and he says, "God, man, my nuts are shaking." Well, that's where that subwoofer of his that was sold a lot was the NS18, was the nut shaker 18. That's how it got its name. I thought I'd throw that in there because it's kind of cute.
That is kind of funny about that. Yeah. Where do things come from? One of the things that I also wanted to talk about today, and this is what kind of fits into what we're talking about, about time and what, things that have happened over time. Scientists have made a major breakthrough in warping time at the smallest scale ever. So Einstein's theory of relativity, right? David probably knows it better than anyone else in the room, but maybe Brian does, about how all time is relative, right? And if you're at a family event, time goes much more slow because there's too many relatives around. That's what it is. I think that's how it works. But basically, they have found out that if you could you can actually speed up time now. I don't think that's something that I want to be involved in. I'd rather things go slow, but I think that could help in space and time travel. Brian?
I had heard that they were pretty close to making that happen. They understood it all. They just, you need to have a power source or whatever to move you through time. But I had heard they were pretty close to being able to pull it off. Yeah. But I don't know.
I don't know. I'm still just wrapping my head around the discussion. A couple of weeks have been in the low end speaker sound. So
like those Delco 6x9s they put in Chevys way back when.
So I mean, I'm setting my rack up in my. I think I need to see that I can bend the low frequency before I believe time travel. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that Jeff Bezos is around, because basically what they're doing, talking about time, Jeff Bezos and Peter Thiel, he started PayPal, right? They are pouring, like right now, huge money into startups that are aiming to keep people young or even cheat death. And their science isn't as far-fetched as we might think. And right now they're putting billions and billions of dollars to working on reversing the age process. And there's this thing called the Methuselah Foundation, which is a nonprofit that aims to make 90 the new 50 by 2030. And so that would be good for me because I'm planning on still being alive by then. So that's, I guess that's a pretty cool thing.
You got to build that retirement fund up a little bit faster if you're going to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, 100% correct. I wonder what that will do to Social Security if it's not already in problems right now. But anyway, So let's see, what else did I want to cover? Speaking of staying alive longer and Social Security, Harvard right now, the most popular course at Harvard is how to be happy at work. I'm not kidding. That's it. Harvard wants the MBAs to learn how to be happy at work, to lead a happy team. You have to learn how to be happy yourself. And so now they're giving a course on how to be happy. I mean, I wouldn't think that people would need a course on how to be happy.
What does that tell you? NBAs, why would you want to go in that field if how you be happy at work? You do a job that you like doing. It's really quite simple. We have all experienced that, haven't we?
Yeah, well, that's why we do what we do, right?
It is exactly why we do what we do. We'll never get rich doing this, but damn, we'll go down having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, all I wanted to do is be, all I wanted to do was, I never thought about, that I was going to be a millionaire or super rich as I started getting into a work environment. When I was younger, when I was 18, 19, 20, I wrote a song, I Want to Be a Young Millionaire. But I kept working on that song. And by the time I was actually getting close to perfecting it, I was no longer young. So the song didn't work for me, But you become the real, realization, how much is enough? That's the question. How much is enough? And if you can answer that question, but most people don't have enough. Most people don't have $400 in the bank in case of a rainy day. So there is it's all about a perspective of what it's all about.
So in Thailand, how do people live there? Is the general populace poor by their standards? Or, what do you get a feeling of, the average Joe? Are they, they make 50 grand a year or 70 grand a year, or do they make $10,000 a year? And how does it in respect to the economy of, how do they live there? Is it generally a fairly poor country, or is it not?
It's generally a poor country. So there are big cities. There are the big cities. Bangkok.
I've heard that they had good medical, though. Is that true?
It's a medical destination. Thailand has become
Is it really
a medical destination, thanks to Bumrungrad Hospital. And they got very, very good hospitals. Most of the doctors have been trained overseas. I think they're all trained overseas. But to answer your question regarding the value of money here. So if you're living in Bangkok, you need money to survive. You make more money working in Bangkok, and you have a different style of living because it's urban living. But once you get into the provinces, then you're really dirt poor, and you're living off the land. You're growing your own food. You're not making a lot of money, and so you're eating a lot of rice. But they're happy. More or less, it seems that, when I went up to Shufan, which is in the middle of an agricultural district, most people are pretty happy. They don't have a lot of money, but they're happy. And I think, and what normally happens is in families, they have larger families out in the agricultural districts, the rural areas. And as the kids get older, they send the kids off to the big cities to make money, to send money back home to the families so they survive. But it seems that property value and properties have been handed down through the years. So most families do have a place to live and have land. Even though they don't have a lot of money, they do have places to live.
And they can own land there and everything?
Yes, they can own land. Foreigners can't own land. They're making some changes about that right now. It's in the works, but it hasn't been proved. It hasn't been passed. But right now, the only way you can own land in Thailand is to have a partner. A lot of it is not what they call freehold. Freehold is where you can own the land itself, but most is leasehold, where you get a lease for a period of time. Like in China, nobody can own any land. You can only lease it for 99 years.
Right.
But they're changing those laws right now, and corporations can own land. So if you wanted to buy some land, you would have to form a corporation, and the corporation would have to buy the land.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, that's basically what it would be, you know. One other thing I want to talk about, which has nothing to do with land or values of money, but it has to do with the new Elvis movie. Has anybody seen the trailer for Aaron Butler playing Elvis? And Tom Hanks is in the movie. And if you haven't, we'll throw up the link to the YouTube because it basically, it seems to me from when I saw it, it's Elvis's life through the eyes of Colonel Tom Parker, who, believe it or not, is played by Tom Hanks. So just a tip, you know. Anybody have anything else that they want to add or say or whatever before we let the people go and on Facebook and YouTube?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. If you have an old Chromebook, if you have an old Mac and you want to turn it into a Chromebook, there's an app called Unlined. And I believe that I think that's what it's called. And we'll throw up a link into the show notes as well. Also, there's a new search engine out there called Neva. That's Nancy Edward Victor Alpha.com, and they don't show you ads. They somehow screen other search engine results. And so if you don't want to see any ads or paid ads in your search engine, you might want to look at Neva.com. So, and I think Unlined is a different app, but anyway, I'll double check that and I'll let you know next week. But there are the articles, and we'll post them in the show notes. Anyway, I did want to talk about one other thing that I read this week, and that is about regrets. And I'm going to bring this up again because we all have regrets. But the question is how do you live with your regrets? And there's a guy by the name of Daniel Pink who is writing a book on this from the BBC, and it's how to live with your regrets. So I'm going to throw the link up there in the show notes, and we'll talk about this next week. But that's something I do want to cover, and I do want to, because we all have regrets, and I just don't want to throw it in you. I want to give you guys a chance to think about it. So next week when we talk, or we could talk about some of our regrets that we've had in our life. And other than that, I'm having a good time here in Thailand. I'm playing pickleball. Now, has anybody out there played pickleball other than me?
I don't even know what it is.
Well, pickleball it's a cross between badminton, tennis, ping pong, and racquetball.
I've heard of it. I've just never seen anybody actually do it.
It is now the fastest growing sport in the United States. And I've been playing it for a while. It's really starting to take off. It's not going to, I don't think it's ever going to be one of those sports where it's going to be like tennis, where people are going to pay a lot of money to go see it. Because the difference between pickleball, and no matter how good the player is, I don't care if the best player in the world is playing pickleball against, let's say, myself, who is, I'm a 70-year-old man and I can't run around. Like, I'll probably get maybe 1 or 2 points if I'm lucky, but I could get 1 or 2 points. Whereas anybody can play this game and you can get a good shot. You can get a lucky good shot in. And so that's why it's really capturing the hearts and minds of so many people, especially older people, because it's an easy game to pick up, especially if you play tennis or ping pong. And basically what it is, it looks like a tennis court, but it's a quarter of the size. And a lot of the tennis courts right now are being converted into pickleball because you could have 2 to 3 courts on the same space that you could have a tennis court. And it's a much more social game, usually played as doubles rather than singles. That's the most popular aspect of the game, is doubles. So you get more people on the court, you get more people active, and it's a very social game. And it's just exactly like, it's exactly like a combination. You hit the ball over a net, you hit it back. The person who hits the ball over the net one more time and keeps it in play, that's the team that wins. And so it's the fastest growing game there is, and it's more fun than you can imagine. So I highly recommend pickleball. And it's just a ton of fun. And like I said, it's now the fastest growing game in America. And all of a sudden, I just read that, you know, in the New York Times, NPR, all of these news magazines are now catching on. But like I said, the reason I don't think it'll ever get really as big as tennis is because if I played Roger Federer in tennis, I wouldn't be able to return a serve or hit back a return if I was able to get one of his serves in. It would be a lopsided game, and he would beat me hands down with no competition, and it wouldn't be fun for me at all whatsoever. Except I could say I play with Roger Federer. If I played Roger Federer in pickleball, I might get a point. And because of that, I don't think people are going to pay big money to go see a sport where they know that they could play it at not maybe the same level, but good enough to be able to play with the same level. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You know, plus it's really slow to watch on TV, whereas tennis is really fast. Pickleball is much slower because the game is played in what they call the kitchen, which is only 5 feet from the 5 feet or 6 feet from net to pickle line or non-playing zone, and that's where the game is really played. And that's really boring to watch a ball go over the net at a very low level until somebody raises it, and then they kill it at each other, and then the game picks up, and then you try to, you know, anyway, that's it. You got to just Google pickleball, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube, and you'll get to see what it is. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. I have nothing more to say right now. Hard to believe, I know. Is there anybody that has anything that they want to add right now before we say goodbye to everybody? Okay, that's it. And then we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody. Just remember, everything you heard was an opinion.
I have a question.
Good.
I have a question. My mic was off. Do you know Leo Rossi, road manager for
No.
Fleetwood Mac, the Beach Boys, a whole bunch of people?
No. Anybody in the room know him?
He's on board the ship giving enrichment presentations, talking about his life on the road. He's written books, and he's fascinating. He's one of us. He was also, if you remember, Fleetwood Mac had their management on the Columbia lot back in the day. So he was on the Columbia lot back then. That's why I thought you might know him.
No, I don't know him. I did not know him, but good luck,
Well,
Richard. We wish you the best.
Leo.
Oh, Leo. Well, good luck, Leo, too.
I mean, he's doing these. He's made a life after rock and roll by going on cruise ships and telling stories. It's really interesting that he's pulling, and they're really good presentations. So
Yeah.
there you go. Life after the road.
Well, very nice to see that. I hope that everybody has life after the road as well. So, you know, that would be a good thing, you know, because as we're getting older, you know, I mean, like I said, you know, the billionaires are working on preserving our lives, making it possible for us to live longer with modern medical science, which is really cool. You know, before I say goodbye to everybody on, you know, I just want to say, a friend of mine and I, Gary, we came up with this idea for a company, but we were never able to pull it off. And it was called You Could Take It With You When You Go. That would be the name of the company. And the idea is that, you know, before you die, you give us everything that you've got, you know, all your money, all your possessions, everything. And we hold it for you until you come back. You know, that's it. But we weren't able to get it off the ground. I thought it was a great idea, believe it or not. But, you know, you can take it with you when you go. There you have it. Anyway, just remember, everything you heard here today is an opinion. This was our 92nd meeting. Next week will be our 93rd. Please come and join us. You know how to do that. Just either go by Facebook, YouTube, you know, just DM us anywhere or send us an email to soundbroker@gmail.com, and we will put you on the panel list. All I can say is thank you for coming today. Also, if you could click the like button, that would be really nice, you know, or subscribe to the channels. That would even be nicer. And with that in mind, I'm just going to wish you all a very good day. Remember, you make it happen, and we will see you again next week. And be safe and take care. Bye-bye now for now. And we are off the air.